So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for Creatio's webinar. Today is a special occasion because we will be discussing the concept of utilizing low-code technologies to improve and enhance member and employee experience. And we'll be joined by a very valued customer of Creatio today to share their experience, Ent Credit Union. So we're very pleased to be joined by Ent Credit Union, and we are also looking forward to just having this very comprehensive discussion with you. My name is Creatio, and I look forward to being joined by one of my colleagues as well as we discuss some of Creatio's unique capabilities. We hope to make this a very interactive discussion, so we welcome you to post all of your questions in the chat section or the Q&A section throughout this webinar today. And we prepared an agenda for this morning. So first we will be introducing our speakers, and we're going to give the companies that are going to be presenting today a brief introduction. Then we'll talk about financial services pain points in detail, followed by a discussion of Creatio's process-driven CRM for credit unions. We'll then talk about low-code implementation, the process, and the benefits, followed by our detailed discussion of Ent Credit Union's success story. And then we'll again make this a very interactive discussion today, and we'll open up for a Q&A section. So I'd like to just hand off quickly to our valued speaker today. Amy, if you'd like to give yourself a brief introduction.
Hi all, I'm Amy Krasikov, Director of Engagement Systems with Ent Credit Union. We are the largest credit union in Colorado with over 380,000 members and a little over $6.5 billion in assets. I've worked in the credit union industry for over 20 years. I started in information technology, moved to project management, product management, marketing, and now engagement systems, leading our CRM. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Amy. We're so pleased to have you on, and we look forward to this great conversation. And I'd like to just introduce my colleague, Eric Hale.
Hey everyone, Eric Hale, Director of Sales Enablement at Creatio. My role here is to align our sales strategy across all of our sales operation, and marketing teams. I've been in and around the technology industry for over 20 years and have the gray hair to prove it. Been having the privilege of working with many accounts within the financial services industry, including Ent Credit Union. So really looking forward to this discussion today, guys. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Eric and Amy. We look forward to having you lead this discussion. Before we dive into our detailed discussion today, I want to talk a bit about Creatio, and just while this will be a reminder for many of our viewers today, we want to talk about the fact that Creatio is a globally diverse organization with 5 offices worldwide. These offices house over 650 employees, and we have a robust and continuously growing channel network of over 700 partners. This supports us as we deliver our solution to thousands of customers in 110 different countries around the world. We're also highly recognized by key industry analysts, such as analysts from Gartner and Forrester, which I look forward to discussing in a bit more detail moving forward. So Creatio provides a low-code platform for process management and CRM, and we have a truly unique and flexible platform that allows users with little to no coding skills to automate processes and change processes quickly. And the superior offering has supported thousands of companies worldwide to overcome challenges ranging in complexity. And we've accomplished this by way of our core differentiators, otherwise referred to now as our Creatio superpowers. And we identify these as our BPM engine to change processes faster, our low-code platform to make everyone a developer, and our unified CRM to align sales, service, and marketing. Now, about that analyst recognition that we touched on briefly before, Creatio is recognized in 5 Gartner Magic Quadrants, 2 of which we are recognized as a leader in, the Magic Quadrant for Salesforce Automation and the Magic Quadrant for CRM Lead Management. We are also recognized in 3 additional Magic Quadrants, and we're very proud of this recognition and look forward to growing our recognition even further amongst the analyst community. We are also recognized in 7 Forrester Waves. We're very, very proud of this impressive accomplishment, as it's great to be included in even 1 Forrester Wave, but you'll see here that we are acknowledged as a strong performer in these Forrester Waves. The former two speaking to our low code and process automation capabilities, and the latter five, which really highlight our CRM and SFA capabilities. So again, we look forward to growing our recognition amongst users, amongst analysts alike, and growing our presence globally. So off to you, Eric, to lead this great discussion today.
Excellent. Thank you, Corey. And yeah, really excited to be talking about how low-code technologies can help organizations, streamline their business processes, as well as, connect data silos and actually help lower your total cost of ownership. But in order to, understand how low-code technologies can, help organizations, we really need to try to understand, some of the struggles that, financial institutions are facing today. What we recognize as, some of the industry trends and challenges that most organizations are experiencing today are broken down into three key areas. First being increased competition. We don't typically have to worry about the usual suspects anymore. We know them. Those would be, other credit unions, community banks, large banks. We expect that competition and have been, facing them for a number of years. But we also need to start to anticipate, what the competition will look like into the future. So if we look at things like fintechs and online banks, these are becoming more and more prevalent within the industry. In fact, there are some studies out there that say that fintech is due to disrupt about 4.7 trillion in revenue from traditional institutions. So these are, the competitors that we're having to face now in our new times where technology is really driving the industry. So we have to be aware of existing, but also what's coming up in terms of competition. Secondly, we look at business model challenges. And what we mean by business model challenges is that within banks and credit unions and other financial institutions, there are a lot of legacy systems that manage specific tasks or specific processes. And the problem with that is, that creates these data silos where, your customer data or your member data is going to be housed in different areas. And that doesn't allow you to accurately build profiles of your customers or members, but it also doesn't allow you to manage processes efficiently across the organization. So it's really about how do we bring all of those processes together. So that's a challenge that most organizations face today. And the third is, just as the competition is evolving, customer expectations are also evolving. If we look at the way that we shop in today's world, we think about the Amazon Prime experience. I can go out to Amazon Prime, I can search for a product, probably find multiple versions of that product. I can research, reviews. I can get answers to my questions through crowdsourced information. I can then make my selection with a single click, not having to put in my billing information, my shipping information, and 2 days later, that package is going to show up at my house, and it's going to be free of charge, by the way, if you're a Prime member. So this is a great experience, and this is what is driving consumer expectations nowadays. We have this expectation of this anywhere availability to service and ease of doing business in everything that we do, including managing our money. So this is, what banking institutions and credit unions really struggle with today, these three key areas. So when we look at how, to connect all of these different processes, we talk about the siloed data. And this slide that you're seeing is very busy, but it's busy for a reason, because these are all of the key processes and applications that are being used to manage member transactions or customer transactions. So on the left-hand side, we see all of the key banking processes that we normally have to follow. We have traditional CRM processes to manage sales, marketing, and service. We have front office applications whether that's within a branch location or a contact center. That's where you have those frontline employees that are onboarding new customers, opening accounts, anything that's customer facing is being housed within those front office processes. Then we work towards the middle office and back office applications where, as the process flows to those back office applications, those could be, lending and underwriting. It could also be, managing compliance back there. So whether that's anti-money laundering or know your customer, all of these processes are happening in the background. But the problem is that the front office and back office are typically connected through that transaction. And that fourth box that you're seeing at the bottom for corporate services, this is something that we kind of forget about sometimes. We also have internal customers, so our employees. And how do we support our employees in such diverse spread out teams, right? So we have branch employees, we have contact center employees, operating center employees. How do we support them effectively? So things like, their employee onboarding. How do they request time off? How do they request support on their equipment if they need it? How do we support them in such diverse locations as well? So if we move to the center, from a Creatio standpoint, we look at it, as you have all of these processes, and within those processes, there may be different applications. So what we're trying to do is take all of those applications that, again, may be housed in different systems and bring them all together into a single view, whether that's a customer view or an employee view. So we can then combine that and give ease of access to all of these applications in a single user interface. And beyond just that single user interface, we also have the ability to tie all of that data together to create those 360-degree profiles of customers and employees. And we do that through low-code technologies. We build that process flow between all of those applications, bring them into Creatio, and then we have the ability to analyze that data. We can report on that data based on all of the information that's being put into the system. Again, we can manage the entire business process from the front office to the back office and vice versa. So this really enables organizations to become more efficient in the way that they manage these processes, but also, it again is going to give you the ability to have all of that data in a single location. And we do that through, again, also low-code integration and synchronization. So we can very easily tap into third-party applications and bring that data into the Creatio platform. So this is how, we at Creatio, when we talk about our low-code platform, view processes and applications. We have all of these different things, but we need to combine everything so that way we can utilize that data more efficiently and then also manage those processes across multiple teams. So when we think about low-code technologies, they really can help organizations do many, many things, but some of the key benefits really are, we can reduce the strain on IT departments by enabling citizen development. Every IT department at this point really is kind of stretched in what they have to do. Project backlogs are getting larger and larger. The demand from business is getting more and more, and IT departments are really having a hard time keeping up with that demand. So we have the ability to enable, citizen development, which will help you manage change more efficiently, and again, lower the overall total cost of ownership. So again, this creates a distinct advantage over traditional development solutions, which can be cumbersome, expensive, and also difficult to customize to specific business requirements. So, trying to take an application that was designed for a specific purpose and have it cover another purpose really can be expensive. And this is where we can bring in low-code platforms to help with that. So low-code platforms takes all of that that strain, well, most of that strain, I won't say all, most of that strain off of the IT department by enabling citizen developers or subject matter experts to configure the platform. But also, we don't want to turn it into the wild, wild west, so everybody is developing their own applications and processes, but we can configure and administer the tool as well, so that way we can provide certain access to certain people, so that we can reduce some of that strain, but also remain in control over our technology. When we talk about low-code platforms, we break it down into 4 parts. So we have everything from process modeling and documentation. So this is where we're modeling those new applications, those processes, and then having them documented within the system to be repurposed, down the road. We also look at it from an administrative perspective. Again, how do we administer that tool, give access rights, who has the rights to change things, who has the right to view. We have full administrative tools within a low-code platform. Then we talk about the application design tools. So how do we build those applications with low-code, easy to use, drag and drop, if and then conditions. So we have to have a full set of application design tools that will make it easy to design processes and design applications. And then finally, we're going to need to manage that application throughout its life cycle. So building in application lifecycle management as well. So this is where we have a great understanding of what each of these tools bring to the market today. As you can see from some of the functionality listed here. And, of our, 650 employees that Corey talked about earlier, an interesting fact about that is nearly half of our employees are dedicated to the development of our platform. So we are always enhancing them as market demands change and transform. So again, just to kind of summarize, the key advantages of low-code technologies are really to make everyone a developer on the platform. So citizen developers are able to configure and modify the system based on the roles that they're assigned. This can actually help relieve some of the strain on IT. So if you need to change a report or you need to, add a specific field, as long as you're enabled to do so within the tool, anybody can become a developer, because low code is just, that easy to use and intuitive. So even, a subject matter expert or business analyst can make those changes. It also enables you to change faster. So we talked about, project backlogs, and, as we make requests into IT or administrators, that, that request may be, prioritized in that project backlog in a manner where you're not going to be able to get the functionality you need in a timely manner. So this also enables you to be able to change faster and adapt to change faster, utilizing low-code technologies. So we talked about reducing silos, and that is one of the major, in my opinion, probably the biggest challenge that most credit unions and banks face today, is that they have tons of legacy systems that are housing data, they're housing processes. You're having to duplicate rules throughout each one of these applications. And it really doesn't enable you to, one, build those profiles, but two, you can't get a good view as a management team of the overall operations. So having a low-code tool that can combine all of that data into a single application, but also be able to design processes across those organizations will really reduce those data silos and disconnected systems. Also, another thing that we need to think about, and we talked about from an employee expectation, is you need to have the tool in place, but you also need to have an intuitive design that will enable your users to quickly and efficiently navigate that system. So having low code enables you to design and configure your user interface very easily and make modifications as you need, as your business need changes. Given all of these key advantages, this really will also help you lower your overall total cost of ownership. We don't have to buy several point solutions to meet business expectations. We can manage them all on a single platform. We can do that with lower cost alternatives like citizen developers, which enables your IT team to remain focused on those projects. And then also, because you're able to get those products out into the market quicker, you can lower your overall total cost of ownership of that technology. So this is really how, we're able to help, organizations align all those things utilizing low-code technology. And a great example of that is Ent Credit Union, our dear and beloved customer. And I'd like to invite Amy to come in and speak about how Ent has looked at low-code technologies to help streamline their processes across their entire organization. Amy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Eric, for the introduction. Sorry all for the pause. Ent started looking at CRMs in 2018. And we were looking at, in terms of a challenge, we have very aspirational growth plans to grow in the regions that we serve. We are a community organization, and we have expanded to serve communities from essentially the Colorado-Wyoming border down to Rye, Colorado, which is a good distance if you know Colorado at all. And in our home market, we're known very well, but in these new markets, we're not. So to this end, we looked at employing a CRM to help us as we build in our new markets, really maintain what makes us us, the secret sauce of who we are, which for all of us in the financial services industry really is serving that member, that customer. We wanted to begin with the indirect group. So our indirect dealers do a great job of promoting our products, and through that, we gained members in that region. The challenge is that those members have one product with us, and they don't really know who we are. They just know they have an auto loan. So we really wanted to be able to start deepening and engaging with that infamous golden egg that so many of us in the financial services try to crack, but it's very difficult to do so. And we also wanted to look at how we manage those leads and how those leads are coming in and how we expand with prospects. When we evaluated our CRMs, we really wanted to find someone who could help us do this quickly, help us do this well, and help us do this in a way that we could minimize impact on our own information technology teams. I say that because as many of you know, our IT teams all have enough to manage with our core banking and other systems. We selected Creatio in January of 2019, started contract negotiations in February, and really began our project in March of 19. We launched within 3 months a program in production focused on our outbound relationship team, which was a brand new group dedicated to really engaging with those indirect folks. Our business bankers and business development team, which is a brand new group again for us, because being a community organization, we had not had a SEG group to really focus on for many years. And then we also did include our outbound lending team, which is a very small group at that point. Those folks were live with Creatio for about 3 months, really launching and learning. We had not had a formal CRM before. We had built a tracking system in our core to help us keep notes and kind of follow up with members, but it didn't connect with our consumer lending system, didn't connect with our mortgage lending system, and it was really difficult to create a true 360-degree view of that member, let alone prospects. We couldn't track prospects at all. So being able to launch and learn of maybe what we didn't know, maybe what we needed to change before we released to additional groups was really beneficial for us. And then we brought in our corporate banking team in the fall, who works closely with our business banking group, and added in our community education team and a few others. Throughout the fall and winter, we continued to develop key integrations. We did choose to integrate with our core banking system using a batch process, and wanted to develop for key data elements a real-time connection. But that means we needed to work with our IT team, and our IT team unfortunately had some other initiatives jump to the forefront in the winter. So then that means we did not get to start our key real-time integrations until this January. This January, we began requirements and then really started developing in the last couple months. And we are launching our real-time tonight, actually, real-time integration. And we are working to bring in the rest of our member-facing teams. So here we are just starting this month and then into next month, training all of our service center teams, our consumer lending team, and our call center inbound team on the CRM. The reason why we delayed is, again, throughout this process, we've really launched and learned, and we've incorporated different members of the business lines to provide feedback on how it will best work for them. Learnings on this process. When you've never had a CRM, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what to ask for in the program and in development of the process, and what you should have and the data you should use and how that 360 view should work. You have an idea because of how your teams already engage with their members or customers, but you don't really know how that flow should be. And that's a challenge, especially when you're trying to solve a very specific corporate problem. Terminology, even now, continues to be a problem and stumbling block for us. Standard terminology in the CRM, things like contact and account and lead, are not standard in the credit union world. We use member, and I have fought that battle because it's not just members now. It's prospects, it's recapture prospects, people who were members but aren't anymore. It's community organizations, it's different, so it's us as employees. So it's trying to break down some of that learning, even in terminology, and knowing when to give, when to maybe rename contact to people, because it just makes more sense to the staff. And when you're onboarding 450 people, even with COVID-19 and not doing it in person but through videos specific to your department, that can be quite a challenge. So you give a little on terminology, but know that that continues to be a stumbling block. Picking a partner who is willing to discover opportunities with you, because when you don't know what you don't know, you know what you want to accomplish and you know what you need to do, but you don't know necessarily how. And having that partner who's willing to walk beside you to learn your business model and your challenges and to help translate those into actions is invaluable. And when you have somebody who's technically minded, you can quickly see the advantage of the CRM. You understand how a program can help you manage something intangible like a relationship. That you need to help translate that for your staff that you're onboarding into it. Because to them, the relationship isn't necessarily in a program. But for us, knowing the products they have, knowing who they've spoken with, what they've spoken about, can help us deepen that emotion, deepen that connection, so that the next sale is more of a consultation and discussion than just offering it because it's what we think is the next best thing to offer. What would I do differently? So, have a little more time to learn what a CRM is before defining how it should be built. I had the privilege of being assigned to manage the CRM just after we picked the last 3 vendors we were evaluating, and then getting to select with the team Creatio and moving forward with designing what we wanted it to be. But I really had not been in a CRM world, and I know software, I can learn software quickly, but I didn't necessarily, again, know what I didn't know. So give your team a little time, give them at least a couple weeks to really dig in to Creatio's online library. That's how I learned the system. When Eric talks about low code, I really appreciate that, because I was able to jump into their online learning programs, spend that time, which I was provided, to really dedicate myself to understanding the ins and outs of the system. Is that absolutely necessary? No, but for me, who someone is technically minded, I really wanted to know what I was asking my implementation partner to do, and what I myself could do, what I didn't need a partner to do, and what I didn't need my IT team to do. I think that as you're defining your requirements and you're thinking about developing your program and what you can bring in, we absolutely needed our IT team for integrations. We needed them to integrate to the core. We needed them to integrate to the consumer online banking system. We'll need them to integrate to the mortgage system. Beyond integrations, we haven't. We have been able to work with an implementation partner because of timing. Again, we're building the plane while flying. So being able to work with that partner to help define what they could do and then learn what I could do, and being able to do that in parallel has really helped us in terms of speed to market. Understand the marketplace and the apps. So there is a lot that you can either get for free or you can buy and implement in the Creatio marketplace. And there's a lot we want to use. Our challenge is that as a financial services organization, we have very defined position from our security team. And that defined position on the security team means that there's a lot of things we cannot use in the marketplace until Creatio certifies it. And that's been a little bit of a downer for us, honestly, because there's so many really neat things and things that could help our teams, but I can't use them yet because they're not certified yet. And that's just because that's a requirement by our security team. That doesn't mean that would be a stumbling block for you. But I am excited to say that even now, as we implement, and with COVID shifting our training plans to bring 450 plus people on board, we already have 105 on board to the CRM, that I am able to do it through video. I am able to do it through quizzes and different online means, because once the users are in it, it's pretty intuitive. It's pretty easy for them to use. And I think that's been a very exciting piece, because when you have all of those legacy systems, man, I had a chief experience officer who described it this way. Imagine if you were using an online banking system that had not been changed since the year 2000. Imagine all those discs we all got in the mail and what that user experience looked like. And now, as Eric said, think about the fintechs and what we are all experiencing now. That's what our employees have to deal with every day. And yes, we are improving our member experience and the engagement with us through the CRM, but we're also improving our employee experience because they're now using a top-of-the-line world-class system and not something back from the year 2000. So that's really where we are and where we have been, and kind of our success story as we have implemented over the last year and been live with Creatio for a year, continuing to launch and learn, continuing to add functionality. We do see this being an iterative development cycle for us, because we do want to test the waters on whether or not it could be the user experience for our core platform. We don't know if it can yet, but we're excited to try and to see if we can get there. Thank you. That concludes my part of the discussion.
Great. Thank you so much, Amy. That was such a great discussion for us to listen to about Ent's customer case. So let's move forward here with this discussion today.
We got one more. I think Amy
I
covered.
do. I talked to it. I just forgot to flip my slide. So yeah, my keys to success, having one more chief. So having a chief or more. So the CRM has been the leading project for the last year for the credit union. The part about that means that when we need those resources for IT to help us integrate, they are available to help us integrate. But that also means that the organization knows that when we're starting with training and we're working through, that it is something that they need to focus on. Continuing to communicate the benefits of the CRM for the users. And that goes back to the emotive piece. They think of it as another program they have to learn. And when you are in financial services, you know you have like 5 to 10 programs you're logging into just to help the member because you're switching between this and that. The CRM will help us not do that. And by advocating for that user experience and advocating for them, the employee, it's extremely important to listen to what they need, how they're going to engage with it, to deliver on that experience, and then to continue to advocate for them. Because through advocating for them, you're going to help them want to use the system, engage with the system, improve that member relationship and communication, break down those silos. And thank you guys I'm sorry I didn't share this. I know I ended mine early, but to break down those silos is so important because when you're in systems that don't talk to one another, how can you know that member started a mortgage application? How do you know that they wanted to remove or add gap insurance? How do you know? You don't. But if you have a CRM where all of that's recorded, then you all know and you can all help and you can all assist. So we, the CRM team, are advocating for our employees. And by advocating for our employees, we are in turn advocating for our member and customer. So thank you all. So again, my final is to listen, deliver, and advocate. Thank you.
If I could just comment on that, Amy, I love this approach, right? So the key to success, right? It's not only that top-down approach by having executive leadership involved in that, but also love the fact that you mentioned that bottom-up approach, right? That is the key to any successful CRM or low-code deployment. Is it has to be driven from all aspects of the business, and everybody needs to be on the same page. So I love hearing this. That's amazing.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Eric and Amy, for leading such a great discussion today. We're so happy to have an audience hear firsthand from a valued customer, Amy. So thank you. So let's make this an interactive discussion, like we had mentioned earlier, and take some Q&A from our audience today. So our first question: what does growth mean for credit unions? Is it more customers, more services to existing customers, since the customer base may be naturally limited by character or membership rule? I think that's a good question for you, Amy. Will you take this away?
Absolutely. So growth for the credit union is both of those things. It is adding members, and it is also deepening the relationship with those members by adding products and services. So for Ent, in that we did gain new communities to our charter, we are adding service centers, so building new locations. We need those service centers, of course, to be profitable, so we want to add new members with those service centers. And of course, we want to, not only in our existing market, but with those new members and new markets, add the products and services with them.
Excellent. Let's take another question, guys. How do low-code technologies, or how can low-code technologies, help to increase employee and member experience in order to deepen customer relationships and drive referrals? So Eric, I think in your role, this is actually a great question for you to answer.
Yeah, I like this question because it is, and I like the fact that Amy talked about this as well. I like that, we're not only looking at it from a member experience perspective, but also an employee experience perspective. Because when you have happy employees, that feeling gets translated to the members, right? When employees are empowered, they can better service members, and they can better understand the needs and efficiently manage their requests. So how does low-code help with that? So we have the ability to create, not only from a customer perspective, great interfaces that will help speed the level of service that they get, but also the ability to drive data across multiple applications. And when you have that data and you can make those customer or member profiles readily available to your employees, you can then guide those users to the next best action or the next best offer for that particular member. So that's really how we can drive the experience, right? It enables it to be more personalized. It enables it to be targeted. So if we're going to make an offer, it isn't just blindly offering that member a product. It's specifically tailored to them. So that's really how we can enable that experience, right? So that's a better experience for the member because it's personalized, it's targeted, and it's the way that they want to engage with the credit union. And from an employee experience, they have the tools, they are empowered. It makes them an expert in every transaction. And if one thing I've noticed with credit unions, I'm a member of two credit unions, they really do want to provide that extreme level of service to make everybody as happy as possible. I think that's one thing that really differentiates credit unions. And that's how low-code technology helps improve that experience.
Excellent. Great response, Eric. Thank you so much. Let's take another question, you two. Given the recent events, what do you see as the biggest challenges for credit unions, and how does CRM help? I think this is a great question for right now. So, Amy, why don't you take this question away?
Wow, there's so many things going on right now with the economy, with unemployment, with even as Eric mentioned with technology, because as people have had to stay home, they've shifted more to online and drive up instead of traditional methods with going into a service center because they couldn't. The CRM, when you think about service and you think about helping people who have maybe been impacted, it again goes to that communication and the silo piece, being able to record easily and have all departments in the credit union see maybe what we're working with that member on, maybe what that member's requested, maybe challenges that they're facing. I think that the CRM can really help us manage that relationship in the right way and do the right thing for that member.
Excellent. Thank you, Amy. We have another question that came in, and how can CRM data build a more robust profile for an ideal prospect? Again, Eric, I think this is perfect for your role to discuss this question.
Yeah, thanks. And as I mentioned in the last question, it really is about there's a tremendous amount of member or customer data being collected in various systems. The problem is not having the data. It's how do you put all of that data together, normalize it, and then utilize that data to create better offers or better services that you can provide to your customers. And I think that that's where a CRM or a customer-facing application like a CRM will be able to take all of that data and put it into a single location. So that way we can then utilize that data to build these robust profiles, right? So it's all about getting that data into a single system that can then run the analytics, segment customers, and be able to target them not only with just messaging, but also we can understand their preferences as well. So we don't look at members as an account number. We look at them as a person. And I think that that's a consumer expectation today. I don't want to have to repeat myself. I want you to know me as a customer of your institution. I want to be able to interact with you in the manner that I want. And I think that that's what CRM allows financial institutions to do. They can build these profiles.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I actually saw that someone skipped ahead to the Q&A. So while we finish up most of our questions today, we will answer plenty of questions offline as well. We'd like to just invite you to participate in a poll for us. Again, we appreciate your participation today, but we'd like to understand from you what you thought from the webinar, whether this was helpful for you, and we greatly appreciate your response. And then I'd like to give a big thank you to Amy and Eric, who led the discussion today. You two did a great job, so thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Cray.
Absolutely. Thank you. Do we have time, Cray, to answer the Q&A, or will that be offline?
I believe we can let's take one more, since we're giving the opportunity for our viewers to ask a question. What systems and technologies can be integrated with low code? Maybe we can talk about your experience, Amy. Any integrations that we'd like to discuss, and how you've leveraged that with for Ent Credit Union.
Absolutely. So I did need my IT team. We have used both a connector as well as APIs. So we've used both. And we have been able to, through the connector, I would actually call the connector low code. It's one of my data warehouse folks who's working to manage that connection. And then the API side has, I think, involved a little bit more code. But when we're thinking about systems, so our core banking system, consumer lending system, mortgage application system, if you want names, Jack Henry Ephesus, Accelerant, FICS, Encompass. We're also looking at bringing in a few more systems as well.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. Finally, also my online banking system. Sorry, one more. So the online banking system was also brought in as well, with some data around different things that members have set up themselves through that as well.
Okay, great. And so we have another question. What capabilities were you trying to use that you were unable to use since your security team required some certifications?
It sounds silly. Let me answer that one, because then I think you or Eric needs to answer the next part of that.
Great.
So for the first part of that question, we wanted to use, for example, something called lately accessed records. It's a very simple application, but it was developed by the Dev Labs group for Creatio, and it was developed out of Russia. And unfortunately, our security team requires that to be certified prior to us using it. So that's just one example. Another one that we cannot wait until it gets certified, we're so excited to use it, is a gamification app. We would love to be able to start adding some games and some leaderboards inside of the CRM that are already developed for us, without us necessarily having to do that work.
Excellent. And so the second part of that question, Eric, what does certification mean, involve, and how long does the process take for Creatio?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, obviously, if we're certifying products, within our marketplace, we have to be sure that, one, it's from a verifiable source. We also have to ensure that, it meets all criteria across our platform as well. Right. So if we implement a marketplace application, when we make updates or changes to the platform, we have to be able to scale those applications as well. So there's also a question on how long does that process take for Creatio. Well, we have over 100 contributors at this point to marketplace. So, that really depends on the backlog of applications that they're trying to certify. But they do go through, a rigorous process to make sure that, again, one, it's a credible source, and two, it won't fail if we make any updates or enhancements to the technology. So we have a full team dedicated just to the certification of those those products.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric and Amy, for answering each part of that question. I think it was a great question and definitely an important one for us to respond to today. And that completes our Q&A. That completes our discussion. Again, thank you to the two of you, Amy and Eric, for leading such an awesome webinar today. And thank you to our audience.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.